Yo, what's going on, Blaze? How you doing this evening? There we go. And to adjust my little camera there. Do a little Saturday stream here. Make some progress on the game. Wanted to look through some of these asset packs in gdevelop as well. I haven't actually looked through here lately. I might get some stuff to help make some game tutorials. They have some full game asset packs here, which I don't put into my own game, but could be pretty useful for walking through a tutorial or something like that. I have a lot of credits. Cyberpunk. Create grimy games with a lived-in cyberpunk aesthetic with this bundle of 5 asset packs. Everything you need to create any 2D game. Characters, props, animals, enemies, interface elements, icons, and even vehicles. It takes an incredibly long amount of time to make all of that stuff. What's up? You're just saying what? Yeah, everything's good on my end. Your weekend going all right? Pixel Dark Fantasy. It's like a platformer pack. Don't think I'll be making a platformer anytime soon. Pretty cool though. Actually, I say that. I'm probably going to make a platformer in a tutorial soon, but I'm not going to make one for myself. Dungeon Castle Mighty Bundle. Pretty cool. Oh man, your Wi-Fi's going out? That is no bueno, dude. No bueno at all. Are you even able to watch the stream? How bad is it? What in the world is this? Quiet Hill Game Kit. I should check Alan Becker. Alan Becker. Talking about this one? I'm assuming he's got a pretty large following here. Why did my light just change? Oh well. That's weird. Let's see, what does he do here? You know, someone had asked me to make a stick figure game recently. I should probably refer them to this page. Yeah? Looks like he's live as well. He's doing like, yeah, like stick figures with like voxel art background and stuff. That's pretty funny. I like that. Do you follow Alan Becker for some of your Minecraft work? I know you make some of those asset pack, or I mean, texture packs. And I am going to start my work here now. Honestly, if I was to create characters from scratch by hand, they'd probably be stick figures as well. Okay, last I was working on this, I started to work on calling the waves. Because I want to nail down the mechanic of calling in like a lot of enemies and stacking them. So I'm gonna do some array work tonight and work on the enemy waves a bit so that I can start adding the core mechanic, which is the darker it is, the harder it is. And I think before I do that, I'm going to top off my beverage. And back. Time to get back to business here. Alrighty, so let's see here. Working on the enemy waves. So we've got... I need to move a cable out of my way. Under the recurring scene updates, enemy spawning. So when the next wave button is clicked, if the number of scene variable enemy spawn count is equal to 0, they will change the enemy spawn count variable to the value at wave array wave count. Wave count. So that should be... I think that starts at 0 as well. Wave count. Let's do a search here. Wave count. Where is it? It should be right here in front of me. Oh, Blaze, what you been working on this week, man? Any more alphabets or texture packs or 3D art? Minimize that. All right, so wave count. I don't see it anywhere up here. What in the world? Let's see. We've got light current value, light start value, max waves. I feel like I need to jot a few things down. I'm gonna grab an old notebook here. If I can find my pen. All right, here we go. I'm gonna write some of this out a little bit better. Sometimes I like to get ideas off the computer and onto paper. So what we have is the max waves, of course, which max waves is the number of the total waves to be spawned. Then we have variable child count wave array. So if I go into my scene variables here, yeah, we have a wave array, and this holds the actual waves. And specifically it holds the number of enemies per wave at each index. Okay, and then we have wave count. So because that's a count, it's going to increment from 0. And it keeps track of the number of waves spawned. What else do we have here as part of our wave configuration? There's a spawn delay, which is defaulted to 1 second. Spawn delay is delay between each individual enemy. And I think I have that updated within the scene itself, but defaulted to 1. What else do we have here? Spawn selection and spawn order. Let me move those upward here. And is spawning. We have actually several items down here that are related to spawning. Let's move all of those up. All right, so we've got spawn delay. Where'd that go? That was right here. Okay, so wave count, spawn delay, spawn order. What is spawn order doing? Need to revisit some of these. Actually, continue editing and apply. And then let's check. Let's do a search here for spawn order. No results. Let's search in the sentences. It doesn't seem like it's in use at all. That's interesting. If it's not, we can probably delete it. This thing used to tell me if there were variables that were declared but not instantiated or in use. What if I just create something and apply? And then if I go back, will it tell me if there are any of those? Edit scene variables. It's not specifying. Excuse me. Not specifying. Let's delete that back out. Spawn order. That does not seem like it's in use anywhere. Let me check something here. Let me Google gdevelop check if variable is used. Not totally sure. That's all right. I'll just make a note to myself to check the spawn order variable. And let's move on. Spawner selection. That sounds pretty self-explanatory as well. Let's see what I'm doing with it though. All right, that one is used 9 times at least. Spawner selection. Change the scene variable spawner selection. So this is actually the type of monster selection or type of enemy selection. Spawner selection. Spawner selection sounds like a bad name. I'm going to change that. That should be more like enemy selection. Let's rename that. Let's go to here. Spawner selection. Let's rename that to enemy spawn selection. How about that? And apply. So enemy spawn selection is now the type of enemy to be spawned. Okay, got that. That's easy. That makes sense. What else do we have here? Is spawning. So that's a Boolean. And what that should tell us is if enemies are in the process of being spawned. Okay. And then there's another thing down here, spawn selection. Okay, let's check that one. What is that one doing? Because it's saying there's spawn selection all by itself, like not enemy spawn selection. There's also an enemy spawn count, which should be the number of enemies that have been spawned. So that's a total number. What else? Let's finish checking if this other variable has actually been used anywhere. We have enemy spawn count. I'll tell you what, let me... Spawn selection. What if I change this other one? Enemy... I'll just temporarily rename that, and then let me check this one again. Spawn selection. Enemy spawn count. The timer spawning is greater than spawn delay seconds. Wave count is greater than or equal to max waves. Of course, we have max waves. Start or reset the timer spawning. And then change the scene variable enemy spawn selection to random and range. Change the text here to wave array, wave count. And then log a message. We can actually delete that. Don't need that. Change the variable enemy ID count plus equals 1. So I need to write that one down as well. Enemy ID count. And so that one is currently tracking. It's very closely related to enemy spawn count, but it's to be assigned to the enemy IDs to make them unique. Pretty self-explanatory, honestly. And then still hunting down this other one, spawn selection, because I believe it's not used. Unless it's inside of one of these. Let me check. Tell you what, I'm going to save the progress here. Then I'm going to duplicate this scene, and we'll call it, what was today? 12, 14, 24. Today the 14th? Yeah. And hit OK on that. So if I mess anything up, at least I can roll it back. Next, let's go back into the variables here. So I'm going to delete some of these. Delete that one. And then also what is lost? Oh, that's for the level. Apply that. Will the game still run? Let's see if we broke it. Let's see what we broke. Hopefully everyone's having a good weekend so far. Drop a tower out here maybe. Okay, so far so good. Actually, I'll tell you what, let's also run this and check the debugger console down here. See what kind of errors it throws at us, or warnings. I really need to figure out how to clean out some of this kind of junk. I've removed some assets from the game package and they're no longer needed. But behind the scenes it's still checking for those assets, which is really annoying because it's, you know, just a little more time it doesn't need to spend looking for those things. Okay. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything related to like a variable that it needs that is no longer declared. So I think we're good there. Spawn order as well. Where's spawn order? Not law and order, spawn order. Right here. Spawn order. Don't think we're using it. Let's delete that. And apply and let's see what we get here. Here's the diagnostic report. It's missing some kind of behavior for the enemies. Health. And then let's also check the debugger. And what I'm looking for is, again, the variables. Not seeing anything related to them. So I think we're good there. All right, moving right along. And this is boring, but it's necessary. Kind of cleaning up here. Cleaning up as we go. What else do we have that's related to spawning? So, enemy UI exists. That's more like enemy related, but don't necessarily need that. Scene, enemies hit array. Scene, enemies hit array. I'm pretty sure I'm going to need that, but I'm not currently using it. In fact, let me do a quick check for it. If I'm not currently using it, I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of it. Yeah, I'm not. Okay, delete that. Don't need extra junk laying around. Enemy ID count. That one can go upward. Right there. And I think that's it for the spawn variables. Loot selection. Indicator. Yeah, I think that's it. So what can I do with these? Let's say... Yeah, I know the game Cuphead. It's a pretty interesting concept for a simple game that makes it really catchy. No pun intended. Oh, nice. A Cuphead plushie. That is freaking awesome. You have a good brother. Very nice. I like it. Oh, we just got a Stardew Valley plushie, so that's the plushie we got for the month. Alrighty, moving right along here. Just need to play around with the enemy spawning. So right now the current spawn delay is 3/4 of a second. We could drop that down to say 0.25 and it would get pretty insane. They'll be spawning pretty much right on top of each other, and I think as the difficulty increases, that number is going to get smaller, shorter. And that will lead to a lot more enemies on the scene at a given time. Boom, victory. Not bad at all. See, the spawn delay on this level is so spaced out. In fact, there's a lot of stuff on this level I haven't updated, which is kind of hilarious. Okay, so the ways we can make the overall difficulty increase beyond just like the things I think are really boring in terms of difficulty is like monster health. If you just make the monsters really strong, I think that's a really boring approach. More interesting things might be shorter distance between enemies, larger number of enemies, maybe like speed of enemies, right? So you would have something like enemy speed, time between enemies, time between waves, Of course, there is enemy damage, right? I just think it's kind of boring. So enemy, what, damage or penalty, something like that. And a larger number of waves. Could be, that could be a factor. It could be good, it could be bad. It's a risk-reward scenario. I mean, those are the basics. And then, of course, you have, like... Yeah, so enemy penalty is kind of boring, but it is a thing. It's not really something you interact with. It's just a punishment. Then there's also enemy health, which is also boring. So those will have to increase by default, over time, but... To me, these upper ones are they're more engaging. You might also say, like, enemy resistances. But that's really getting more into enemy specifics rather than, like, wave intervals. So I don't think those would be impacted by the darkness per se. Which is really what I'm thinking about right now. So as the darkness darkens, as the light darkens, what would get more challenging? And I think it's probably these things here. And maybe specifically these. So I'm thinking, could try something like this. So these stats, let's see, how do I make these bigger and smaller? These stats will increase with darkness. These, oops, and then these other ones will increase with level. So as you go through the levels. That's what I'm thinking. So I think as a starting point, I'm going to go with that. And then what I want... I also want to do this. I want to implement when you finish the level, so let's run a level. All right, let's call all the waves. There are only 6 of them here. And I'll kill them off too to speed this up. No, they're not dying. I need more towers. There we go. Alright, so you finish the wave, and when you get here, I think that I want the option to go into sort of an endless mode, which will endlessly spawn waves of enemies. And then I'll need to add a feature to where like each wave gets more and more difficult automatically. So, a couple of things to work on here. Let's pull these up on the screen. Multi-tower select, I do want that, but not tonight. I do want endless waves, and I want darkness, scales, difficulty. These are the things I want to get in there. I guess one other thing I could put in. There is one other thing which I need to put in. It's not as critical at this point in time, but it's going to be waves auto summon or whatever. So that is a functionality I need to get in. It's not really game breaking to not have it in yet. And in fact, for testing purposes, I probably don't want it turned on. But let me think. So when we say darkness, we really mean the light value. So as the light value goes down, the darkness increases. Which means if you spend a bunch of money on your towers, the next wave is going to be more challenging. But then if you can defeat that wave, you get more light to build more towers. So I need to figure out how this is going to feel. So if the light start value is say 500, and if we do like, when you build a tower, we need to implement the cost of the towers again. So let's do just whenever a tower base is created, and we won't even bother with upgrades right now. So we'll say, oh, let me see wherever I put the tower purchases. So we'll say, let's look for tower base. What about create tower base? That should do the trick. Kind of thought of a mode, one where the player can modify the stats however they want and play the game with those stats. Might be hard to make. Where the player can modify the stats however they want and play the game with those stats. Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. I like the idea of... the player being able to customize the difficulty. And, like, the harder it is, the more reward they get. I do like that idea. And so I am thinking about how to implement that. Say, for example... with these, if these are the difficulty stats, you know, maybe you get, there's a certain, you know, the reward is going to be in the drop rate of whatever kind of rewards or loot. So, you know, maybe this is worth, on a scale of, like, say 1 to 5, you know, maybe enemy speed. Let's say, you know, a value of 2 out of 5. So something like that, right? And then this, let's just say, for example, 3 out of 5. Value here, time between waves. Now maybe 1 out of 5. Number of waves. That's going to be, you know, maybe somewhere in the middle as well. And then, so if the player feels they can handle some of these, they can start adding them on there. Enemy resistances, that would go up. That would be pretty high as well. So if you were to tick all of these boxes, you might have, like, you know, 500% drop rate or something like that. But it's going to be super, super difficult. Hey, thanks, man. Welcome to the Patreon. You're a real OG. I need to get more asset packs on there. I have a bundle ready to go. I just need to put more up there. Appreciate that. Thank you. Welcome to the studio. In fact, in my Discord, I'm going to create a role just for supporters. So I need to get around to doing that as well. Yeah, I like where you're going with that idea, though. It's going to be a matter of fine-tuning it and seeing how we want to customize it. And, you know, is there like a currency that limits, you know, does the player need to unlock the ability to customize these difficulty stats? Do they spend a currency to do it, or all the above? And so right now I just want to kind of get the functionality working, and then we can fine-tune the dials, I think, as I go along. So I wanted to start with looking at, well, I need to implement the cost of building a tower. Let's see here. Create object, tower base. Here we go. This is where we need to do the cost. It's saying that this function is a deprecated condition. How is that deprecated? Indicator. If the animation of the indicator. So indicator animation by name is equal to tower 1. Say okay. This seemed to fix it. So this is where, here's the cost. Let's re-enable that. And that's going to be, it's going to subtract the tier 1 cost. Create object tower base. Saw my channel on day 26. Dang, you remember which day it was? That's pretty impressive. Nah, man, you're an OG. You're keeping my stream going. I appreciate it. I enjoy having your company as well. You literally checked it. Nice. Day 26. I wonder how many days. Tell me, we need to place bets. How many live stream days of development do you think it's going to be before I launch at least a beta, say on Steam or something like that? Tell me the number. Today's, I think, 42. Day 80, day 100, and then we'll see. Okay, so tower tier 1 cost. How much is tier 1 cost? So let's go up here. Tier 1 cost. It might not even be up here. This might be in the scene variables. Right here. So 150. Okay, we can work with that. So it's 150, 500, 1000. How much do you think you're done with the game so far? So the game progress, we have most of the basics in the game. We have towers, we have enemies, we have enemy pathfinding. I have the UI built out for like skill upgrades. What I need is to play with a lot of the data, right? Which is what I'm doing tonight. So like the core mechanic of the game is the darker it gets, the challenging it gets. And it's all about tweaking variable numbers, which is really more about thinking than it is about, hardcore developing. So once I finish thinking about it and then, play testing it, then I think it's a downhill stretch from there. And the art will be easier once I'm done with all that, because I'll know exactly which art I need. I mean, I think I'm close to halfway. $100 days. I think you're probably right. I think it's going to be 80 days to be done with the game bundle, and then maybe another 20 to get it to release. So I think you're about right. I mean, I hope so, because I want to, I don't want to spend too long. I think that's going to also put us at just over 1 year of development. I don't want to go much past 1 year. Exactly, yeah. I'll probably finish it next year. For sure. And then I can think about, building a sequel or something. Okay, so we've got the tower cost implemented. So let's see if the light value subtracts whenever I build towers. Okay, so light value 350, 200, 50. Yeah, so now the darkness is way low, or whatever. The light value is way low. I need these moons to do damage again, too. And I have now died as well. Good. Don't talk to me about that mic quality back then, man. It was pretty rough. That was rough. Slowly building up the production value here. Slowly and hopefully surely. Alright, so now we've got the light value being affected again, and let me think. Hold on, what did kill me? I didn't think the enemies were actually damaging me. Did I just kill myself? Yeah, I killed myself. Okay, so I do need to do a check. Let's go to tier 1. Oh, where to go? Create object, tower base. Yeah, pretty rough around the edges, man. Still rough around the edges. Alright, so what I want to do is actually make sure... my voice or the game. Well, the game is improving as I go along, but I was referring to my YouTube production quality. So voice, video, lighting, that sort of stuff. Like when I started, I didn't even have lights. Like I've got lights right here in front of me, see? I didn't even have those, so it was pretty rough. Also didn't have my mug with Sauron on it. Yeah, well, I appreciate it. You know, because making games is what I really love to do. And then doing YouTube is alongside the game making. But what I really want to do, as you're probably aware, is I enjoy the community, talking with you guys. And so, you know, if I could have a community along for the journey and maybe help people along the way, you know, I'm pretty passionate about that. All right, so I need to implement a cost check here. So what we're going to do is we want to make sure that you're not going to kill yourself by building another tower. So right here, we will say if you need to check a variable. Variable value of current light value. Light current value is greater than, it needs to be greater than, and we'll say tier 1 cost. That way you cannot kill yourself. And let's test that. Yeah, so far you are the only one chatting tonight. I don't know, it's a Saturday night. Maybe people are out, who knows, doing what. Let's check. Alright, so now if I keep placing towers down, it'll go down from 500 light value. But now it should not let me place one more. And that's correct, it is not letting me. So All right, that's good. Success. Quest unplayed, unplayed this quest. Yeah, quest unplayed. He didn't even pick up this quest. He ran right past the NPC, and who knows where he went. Totally. All right. So I think what needs to happen is something like whenever the enemies are spawning, we're going to need a variable that will impact certain things that I've written down here. So enemy speed, technically enemy speed is on the enemy. These other ones are on the wave. So let's try something like this, just so I can visualize it. Wave and then enemy. So we have I want to focus more on the wave things at the moment. So enemy speed, actually, yeah, let's move that down. Time between enemies, so that's the spawn delay. And then I think later I'll add another thing, which is going to be the wave delay. But for now, I'll just start with these. Quest unplayed, speedrunned his day and forgot to do this quest, the quest of watching Corey make a game. I've been thinking about this though. Usually when he's watching my streams, he's at work. So it seems like he watches my streams when he's bored. Not that I'm complaining. Towerhead, arcane.centerx. What is this stuff? Alright, so I'm going to go up to where the enemies are spawned and start tweaking how the difficulty of the waves is implemented. This is where it gets good. It's probably lunchtime for him. I'm not sure if he works on the weekends, though. It would be about lunchtime for him, I think. Yeah, he's from Korea, South Korea. Obviously. Alright, we're going to change the health of the enemies to wave count +1. Oh, wait. No, I didn't want to change the health yet. I wanted to change the wave related things. So next wave button is clicked. Yeah, maybe he does have his electronics off. Honestly, you kind of need to make the time to do that. You know, we're so tied into our cell phones and computers and everything. Like, I usually leave my ringer off, and it annoys people who are actually trying to contact me, but if I listen to every little notification, I'll just go insane. Alright, so I'm going to, let's just focus on time between enemies, which is the spawn delay. So up here at the very top, the spawn delay, which I should probably rename. I'm going to rename that real quick because it sounds like a couple different things. Spawn delay is actually time between enemies, and apply that. There we go. So that makes more sense. So if we start that off as, say, 1 second, I need like a darkness scale. How do I want to do that? Because right now my light values on a scale of like 0 to say 1,000. Or, I don't know, 500. Do I have like a light maximum value? Let me check. Max waves. Let me just think about this. Let me do it on paper here. So the darkness value equals, we've got current light value which could be about, like, say 500 or something. Then what do we do with that? I might have like a maximum light value. So if we have a current light value, max light value, so we'll say, for example, 1000. So that would be 1000 or less. Darkness value equals the current light value What if we did max light value? Divided by that. So if your current light value is all the way down to 50, and then you did, say, 1,000 divided by 50, that's a pretty big number. That's 10,000. So 1,000 max divided by 50 current. Equals 20, right? So, I mean, yeah, other way around. But so that'd be 20. That'd be 20 times a lot of things. Or it could be as little as, say, 2, or even 1, actually. But we might be able to do something like that to get this started. So let me add a max value. And I'll be right back. Back. I just got some food in the microwave. Pretty good at vanishing. All right. So I was just saying, I'll probably just start off with a very simple equation here. Like take the maximum light value divided by the current light value, and then do like a multiplication for some of the stats. We've got some tacos and some brisket. Yeah, so tried a new taco truck today. So I need to add a maximum light value variable here. I'll say light max value. And let's just say 1000 and apply. And then I'm going to scroll down. The Moon Tower model. Yeah, it's going all right. I haven't done a lot more work on it yet because I'm waiting on some feedback from my artist. Well, not feedback. I'm waiting for some art from my artist, and let's see if we have any updates here. Probably not. I know she's working on it. Yeah, no update this week. So yeah, I'm waiting to see what we get from her before I proceed. But yeah, once I have an idea in mind, it'll finalize pretty quickly. And back. All right. So let's see. I've only got about 15 minutes to go here. So I want to try to put this equation in. So let's go down to where the enemies respond. Let me put my earpiece back in. And right here, let's see. So yeah, let's start with Time between enemies. Whenever the next wave button is clicked, we'll do a check for the darkness. In fact, I think I need... What do I need here? Any assets you can make. Any assets you can make. Probably a lot. It kind of depends. If you want to try... Yeah, let me save my project. I mean, if you want to just try making a tower in general, you can take a stab at it. And if you want to save it as like a Blender file, you know, I could always take it and modify it accordingly. You know, I wouldn't complain. So, I mean, you know what some of my current towers look like, but they're just placeholder art. So, it's still open to interpretation right now. So again, we've got, you know, our various towers here. These are the towers to be selected. The Earth Tower being the actual Earth. Yeah, I mean, that would be pretty entertaining. So what I'm thinking in this world is like, you're this like little... You're an amateur mage or scholar or something like that. And you're going out and you're setting up these towers. Hey, some guy. Hello to you too. How's your weekend going so far? Thanks for hopping on the stream. And so Blaze, I'm thinking that this, you know, your sort of character is like, you're just like an apprentice or a journeyman, and you're trying to build these towers in a last-ditch effort to hold back this wave of darkness, you know, before the professional reinforcements arrive. And you probably won't have a whole lot of that lore in the game, but that's just kind of like the thought process behind how you're doing this thing. So I'm not sure if like building out an actual planet Earth as a tower would make a lot of sense. But what I am kind of thinking is maybe it's more of like a wooden, earthy kind of tower, you know? Oh. Some guy, I'm glad to hear your weekend's going well. I'm just working on my Dark Tower Defense game here in gdevelop, and the theme is the darker it gets, the harder and more challenging it gets. So I'm implementing some wave spawn mechanics tonight. So that's what's going on. Right now we've got 1 second. So I want to change the number of, or rather the distance between enemies at the time of spawn. So what I'm going to do is, I think I need to add a variable to track. Actually, let's add variable. I'm going to say darkness value. It's just going to be a number. And somewhere up here, I need to update that number. So as a recurring scene update, we will say variable. Hey, I appreciate it. We're going to check the variable value of darkness value. And we're going to set that to light max value divided by the light current value. And that should currently range from about anywhere from the number 1. It could get pretty crazy, to be honest. I mean, if you theoretically could get down to 1,000, which would be nuts if you can find a way to get that low. So, but you know, I think I want this game to be a little bit crazy anyway. So the less light you have laying around, the more crazy the next wave is going to be. I think more realistically, you might get down to about 50 light value. So 1,000 divided by 50 would be 20. But yeah, so with that being the case, when you spawn an enemy, we need to now do a check. Let's change the variable. Darkness value is assigned to light max value / current value. And we can probably change that value. Let me think here. We don't necessarily need to do it every single frame. So I do want to do some optimization for this. Let's do just a little optimization here. Yeah, in this generation, people and kids love crazy stuff. That's for sure. Yeah, I gotta do something just a little, with a little spice to it, you know? It gets pretty crazy. Lots of risk, you know, a high risk, high reward kind of game. That's what I'm going for, at least. So I'm gonna add a sub event here. And we're gonna do a timer. We're gonna start a scene timer. Let's see, where is that? Oh, actually, yeah, we just need to start it. Where do we start that? I'll tell you what, let's do this. Timer, value of scene timer, and we'll say, we'll do this check like every 1/10 of a second should suffice. And we'll check, just something like that. And then let's start that timer way up here as well. Not an object timer, we need to start a scene timer, 1/10 of a second. How long do I think it'll take to finish the game? Funny you should ask that. I was just talking about how long we think it's going to take. Today is day 42 of live stream development of the game. And I think we're at about the halfway point. Because from here, it's just going to be a lot of game balancing. And then swapping out some placeholder art assets. And then finally bundling it up for like a Steam launch, that kind of thing. And do some playtesting as well. I think I'm around the halfway point. Yeah, exactly. 2025, maybe summer 2025. But I'll have a playable demo live, hopefully by like say March. And gdevelop makes it really easy to put a demo out there for feedback. So I'm hoping to have that at least by March. Basically like a vertical slice, you know, like not necessarily 100 levels to play, but you should have like some levels to play with some of the enemies, with some of the towers that you can play all the way through the way it's designed to be played. And then if that is going well, adding more content is kind of like the easier part. Okay, right here. Let's move this up here. Hey, happy birthday in March. I have a friend over here whose birthday is also in March. Is it on the 15th? My present to you in March will be access to my demo for free. Not that I would charge for that. Is it seriously the 15th? You're kidding, right? Wow. I gotta go tell my friend right now. I'll be right back. All right. That's pretty funny. That is pretty hilarious. Alrighty. Now we have the check for the darkness. Or rather, we're updating the darkness value every 10th of a second, which is... that should suffice. Excuse me. Every 10th of a second should suffice. We don't want to do that every frame, which would be 60 or more frames per second. We can probably change some things as well, like the FPS. I don't think the human eye needs to see that more than every 10th of a second. The radius of new light to current light value, that... maybe we can see what that looks like as well. I'm okay with the indicator looking pretty smooth. That being said, let's go further down now. The darkness value is being calculated here. Let's also add a text object to the game so we can see what the darkness value is. So let's go into the text objects, which are under the UI objects, text objects, and let's just duplicate one of these, like the enemies and scene text. Duplicate, we'll call this text darkness value. Oops. And let's edit that. And we'll just say, I'll just put null if it's not been updated. Let's drag that out here. Oh, actually I needed to say darkness. And then I'll say null. Apply. And let's put that on the UI layer. Swap these around maybe. Yeah, I'm a September person myself, so I'm a fall baby. Some guy, you playing any good games this weekend, or what you got going on? Now I'm gonna tell people, yeah, I was talking to some guy in my chat, and they're gonna say who, and I'll say some guy, and they'll say who, and we're gonna go on forever and ever. So thanks for that. Play some VR games. Nice. What do you play on VR? I need to get a good VR headset. That's on my to-do list. All right, now we need to update that text object. So we'll do that right up here, actually, where we did the update. So we will change the text of darkness value. We will assign that to string round, and then we will say darkness value. Boom, that should be good. Every 10th of a second. Let's test that out. A $15 game called No More Rainbows and Rec Room. Sweet. Oh, oops. No More Rainbows and Rec Room. Let's see here. Looks like it's actually on sale. Looks pretty dope. Yeah, it looks like a lot of fun. And Rec Room. Is that a free one? Nice. I'll have to check those out sometime. Okay, we actually need to set this darkness text value to, it should just say darkness, space, and then quote, and then plus. Boom. Now test. Give it the old test. So right now the darkness is 2 because we have the light value is 500 and we're doing 1000 divided by the current light value. So now if I place a tower, the darkness value goes up. It goes up dramatically the closer you get to 0, which is definitely the intention. There's this new game called Run the Block in Rec Room. And in Rec Room, you can create your own games. So when you say create your own games, does that mean like you get to like place items in the levels, like design your levels? Is that kind of what you're talking about? Gotcha, man. Go get some dinner. We're eating dinner over here, too. Okay, so we're spawning an enemy here. We're going to do based on the darkness value, which we now have in the game. So I'm going to save my current progress. When the next wave button is clicked, we need to set some values. So we're going to change, let's just pull up some of the variables. Change variable value, spawn enemy spawn, what did I call it? No, time between enemies is going to be set to, see, normally that would be like 1 second. So what do I want that to be? So if it's 1,000 max light value, then 1,000 divided by 1,000 is 1. So we could do, let me think here. So we would do I guess its original value, which is 1, divided by the darkness value. I think that's where I'm going with this. So we will do I guess 1 divided by darkness value. It's half hard coded, but that should work. So if I were to test this out, let's test this out. Let's drop a couple of towers down. Actually, even right off the start, it should show us that variable. Let me see. Scene variables. Time between enemies. It has a value of 1. Because I haven't clicked it yet. But if I refresh that, it's now half, which is good. And if let's drop the light value down again, click next wave, refresh, it's 0.35, which is good. Let's drop another tower down, next wave, refresh, 0.045. They're almost on top of each other. So automatically that's getting pretty crazy. Okay, so we have a little bit of crazy in the game. And so we have time between enemies, which is set to 1 divided by darkness value. Okay. Then we have, let me get my book here. Then what do we have? We could do I feel like I want to add the number of enemies as well in the next wave. So what could we do for that? Enemies next wave multiplier. So let's say if we had 10 enemies in the next wave, do a multiplier of I don't know, let's say, like, for example, 1.5. So if we're doing a darkness value, let's say it's all the way down to 20. The darkness could be anywhere from, say, 1 to, I mean, theoretically 1,000. But let's say if it were all the way down to 20, you know, 1 times 10 is 10. 20 times 10 is 200, which is a pretty significant jump in the number of enemies. Which I'm not sure I want that number, that level of scale just based on darkness value. But what I could do is level it out a little bit. So you would have the darkness value So the enemy's next wave multiplier might be something like, it would be like enemies next wave plus enemies next wave times darkness I don't know, divided by 2, something like that. Board, so you typed with your eyes closed. Oof. Blaze, that's pretty rough, man. That's pretty rough. You're gonna have to work on your closed eyes typing. What shape did I want for the Earth Tower? Yeah, that's a good question. I almost feel like the Earth Tower should be a little bit tree-like, but, or, you know, at least like maybe made of, think about made of wood. I know you're not necessarily going to apply the texture to it, but I'm almost thinking something kind of like Gandalf's wooden staff or something like that. I don't know. But most of the towers are going to be made of, you know, stone materials. I think the Earth Tower could be wood. So it could be a tree. I probably won't do leaves on it, but maybe like tree branches. Something like that. All right, so let's try this, I think. This equation, enemies next wave plus enemies next wave times darkness divided by 2. So darkness divided by 2. Let's say we have a darkness level of 2. So 2 divided by 2 would obviously be 1 times enemies next wave. So that would give us double the enemies. Let's say we have, let's say darkness is 1. That would be 1/2 times enemies next wave, which would be like, say, 5. So that'd be plus 50%. Plus 50% automatically. Hey, Beatbox Kid, how you doing? I like your Darth Vader mask. We're just doing some math on here, Beatbox Kid. Doing some multiplication and some division and some addition. So we're going to do enemies next wave plus enemies next wave times darkness divided by 2. And I think that's going to give us the number of enemies that are added to each wave based on the darkness level. So let's just give it a shot. In fact, I need a new variable for this. A tree with no leaves, just branches. Yeah, I think so. It might be some sort of like a modification of a tree. Because what I'm thinking is your character is kind of like building these things up. So it's being constructed sort of magically. So, you know, maybe not just like any old tree, but maybe something that looks like it's made of tree. If that makes any sense. Some sort of a tree construct. Let's add a variable here. We will call it enemies next wave multiplier. And apply, and then when next wave button is clicked, we will change that variable value. Yeah, no worries. Basically a tree. Let's try a tree with no branches. A tree with no leaves. Let's start with that. And keep in mind, it's going to be mostly top down, you know, from one angle. So, you know, isometric. Ultimately, the game is going to be isometric. Right now, it has a little bit of perspective, but it's going to be approximately like this kind of an angle. And so when it's seen, it's going to be about that size as well. Change the variable enemies next wave multiplier 1. Let's see. We need... Do I have enemies next wave. Let me think. Let me double check the variables. Wave array. I think what I need here is wave array, wave count. Let's try that. Yeah, right here. Change the scene variable, enemy spawn count. Pretty sure that's what it is. So wave array, wave count. And then times. What did I say here? So it's going to be that. Enemy spawn count. Wave array, wave count. So that plus itself times darkness value divided by 2, I think. Let's put that in some parentheses just to be safe. So that's the multiplier. So I think enemies next wave plus. I think I just need this to be like this, actually. So I guess it's more of an addition than a multiplier, but whatever. Because that's going to come out to whatever number's in the array at that index, and then that times the darkness value divided by 2. So the darkness value will never be less than 1. Divided by 2 would be half. So it would be half times the number of enemies in that wave. So really what I need to do then is even omit this first part. I think I want to separate that out. Because in traditional programming, you would use a separate function for that event. So in this case, what I'm going to do is change another variable here. Hey, welcome back, some guy. What'd you have for dinner? We had tacos and some brisket tonight. So in this case, what I need to change then is another variable value, which is going to be wave array. Let's see here. Wave array wave count. Can I do this? Will it let me do that? Wave array wave count is assigned itself times enemy's next wave multiplier. So let's see how that works. I think the first wave, let's see here. Let's test this out. You had pizza for dinner. Nice. All right, so enemy's next wave should start at 5. And then if I, let's say, spend some light. So right now that's 350, which would be what? 350, so we have 2.85, 2.9 times the number of enemies in the wave. 2.9, so almost 15 enemies. Let's see if they spawn now. Hmm, 8 enemies. 8 enemies. So maybe my math was a little off, but it did spawn more than the number of enemies that would have been in there. So that's the equivalent of well, let's check the variable. In Rec Room, you can put weapons, enemies, and obstacles in every level. And you can help with the circuiting. Sweet. That sounds pretty fun. I wonder if people have created like mod packs for that game. I wonder if it's open source. Let's take a look at the variables here. We're going to look at... Oh, that's interesting. So it definitely got modified because we have this weird green number here. I need to round that number though before I get errors. I can't spawn 7.1 enemies. So let's do a round function here. Wave array count. Should be able to round it. Right here. Let's test that one out now. Take a look at the variables. Go ahead and spawn one. Okay, so that one gave me exactly 5. So enemy's next wave should be exactly 6. Okay, let's just let those guys go through. I'll spend some light. Actually, my light right now is 500, so that should be pretty easy. So that's 1,000 divided by 500. Actually, I just lost some light, so never mind. Let's restart. We will test it like that. So choose your username in Rec Room and send it sometime to you, and you can help. Awesome. Yeah, appreciate that. Now let me go find that Rec Room. Let me... Is it this one here that I have pulled up? With the hot dog guy on the moon. I'm gonna go ahead and add that to library. Cool, appreciate that. Alright, so at light value 500. Look at the hearts flying. Thank you for the love. I'm just trying to do some public math here, so bear with me. Time between enemies is 1. Oh, we're done with that one. Enemies next wave multiplier is assigned the rounded value of darkness value divided by 2. So if the darkness value is 2, then 2 divided by 2 is 1. And 1 times the array count. So yeah, so if I just spawn these guys, we should get exactly 5. That's easy. Now if I take that same wave, so instead of 5, let's spend some light. Your cat is watching the stream. Dude, cat, if you have cats, which I don't at the moment, they will get all up in your grill. They love keyboards. Does your cat type on the keyboard? Alright, let's spend some light here. Let's say all the way down to 200. So that should be 5 times 5. Let's see if we get 1,000. Move this out of the way. Darkness value is 5 divided by... Okay, never mind, not quite. So that's 5 divided by 2, which is 2. And I'm not sure which way it's going to round that. It could go to 2, it could go to 3. Could go to 2, could go to 3. So let's... Actually, it should tell me now if I go to the debugger. Let's refresh. Let's look at the variables. The next wave multiplier is currently set to 0, but if I that's weird. Okay, every wave has now been updated to the exact same number, so that's a problem. But what if I go down? And there are now 40 waves. How did I make 40 waves? Oh, never mind. That's FPS. We can ignore that. Okay, yeah, so we got 15. So it went to 3. It rounded the number to 3. And they're all super close together, which means we now have increased difficulty because they're more compact, and increased difficulty because we're getting a lot more enemies per wave because we have such a low light value. So yeah, the intensity has started, people. Obviously I have it set to where they don't kill me at the moment. But look at that. Look at all those enemies. We've got over 150 on the screen at the moment. And if I turn these into flamethrowers, we can torch them all. And lose all the FPS. I'll need to do some optimization to where it doesn't kill my frames per second, but at a basic level, the difficulty has been implemented. Let's get rid of those towers there. And that asteroid got stuck. Okay. So I think we're good there. I kind of like that. I need to tweak a couple things, but I like it. There's the equation. Cool beans. All right. Well, honestly, I think that's about it for tonight. I'm just a little bit spent. If you could right now, what would your Rec Room username be? Usually this is my username, because this is my Steam username. So hopefully you don't go and create an account and sell that username to other people, but that's what it would probably be. Yeah, honestly, I don't think it's ever been taken before, so I'd be kind of surprised, but no, that would be wild. So, all right, well, some guy, thanks for hopping on the stream for the first time. It's been awesome chatting with you, and I'll definitely, if you want to join my Discord, I can hit you up anytime, especially once I get Rec Room set up. Let me see here if I can get the link for you. Thought I had it on my YouTube channel. Let me double check. Okay, here it comes. Don't know if this will work here in the chat. Don't think it will, actually. Go to the video. Any of my live streams have the Discord link, some guy. So as soon as I get done with this, it's going to be in the same. It might already be in the description of this live stream. There's a link to my Discord, and I'll reach out to you on there. So. And I look forward to trying out that game. For some reason, Blaze, you made changes to the splash screen instead. Cool, what kind of changes? Yeah, Blaze made this screen right here. The grass. Sweet. If you send a, if you want to send an update to me, I'll take a look at it. And I'm going to go for right now, guys. Thanks for joining and hanging out with me. I'll see if I can stream a little bit tomorrow as well. And yeah, I'll try to make a rec room as well. It looks pretty fun. I don't have a VR headset with me or anything, but we'll see how playable it is. So it's been fun, and I'll catch you all later. So wherever you are, whatever you're working on, I hope you have fewer bugs than I do. Thanks.